Hello, friend. Welcome to Grandpa's Horror Stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your own stories. Plunge into the world of chilling narratives. We cherish our Reddit creators. Credits found in the description. The guy making my coffee just blue screen when I told him a joke. It wasn't even a funny joke. It was more of an awkward attempt at breaking the tension, which was him making my coffee. There's not enough foam in the world to satisfy me, I said, hinting that he was putting way too much foam into my drink. He was cute, just out of college and pretentious looking cute. I expected him to roll his eyes or completely ignore me. The guy's warm brown gaze found mine, eyes seeming to narrow, almost like he was trying to understand what I said. I watched him mull the joke in his brain, inclining his head. I thought he'd laugh. What I didn't expect was for the joke to completely break him. HM, he smiled, and I noticed his smile wasn't really a smile, just his lips widening without any real emotion. I don't get it. Oh boy, the foam, I said, trying to laugh at my own stupid joke. You know, like, I meant that all the foam in the world wouldn't be able to satisfy me because you were, you know. I pointed to my overflowing cup, which was more foam than coffee. Kind of going crazy with it. I could feel my cheeks starting to redden when his head tilted to the side, strands of light brown curls slipping from his cap. It's just a joke, I said hurriedly. Sorry, it wasn't funny. His lip curl, but I don't get it. His response reminded of a confused kid or a senile adult. You don't have to, I said. Sorry, ignore me. The coffee guy nodded slowly as he made my coffee. I could tell he was still trying to wrap his head around it, using serious brain neurons to solve it like my joke was a puzzle. Who was this guy? Thank God I was the only customer. It doesn't matter, I said, and threw in another joke to hopefully make it better. I can't remember the exact joke, something related to coffee. I expected at least a sympathy laugh from him, but instead, halfway through trying to wrap his head around that joke too, his mouth curling, eyes widening, his hands kind of froze, and I swore I saw him jolt. It was noticeable with the way his body suddenly jerked, like he had just suffered an electric shock. I opened my mouth to ask if he was okay, but then his fingers still grasped around the rim of my coffee cup, clench into a fist before coming apart, and it slipped from his hands. I jumped, but the guy didn't react to the coffee cup splintering on impact, scalding hot coffee searing his hands and pooling on the floor. For a moment, he was completely still before something seemed to sever in his expression. His eyes flickered, jaw clenching, before all of him seemed to go limp. I don't think I can describe this as anything but a complete blue screen. If I looked close enough, I swore I could see the flash up in his iris, dull blue light illuminating his pupil. I thought it was some kind of elaborate joke at first. Before the guy blinked, his gaze found mine, eyes growing in almost childlike fright. What? He swallowed, his voice throaty and gruff. What day is it? The urgency in his expression threw me off. The way he reacted to the sun streaming through the windows, squinting, and then shading his eyes. It's September 9th. I couldn't stop looking at the red welts on his fingers from the coffee, which he could not feel. There was no pain in his expression, only confusion and fear starting to build. Before erupting, he blinked again, taking a step back, The way he moved was clumsy, like he was drunk. I shouldn't be here. His trembling hands went to his apron, trying and failing to tug it off. Fuck. The boy's fingers struggled with the knot. I shouldn't be here. He staggered back, his hand tearing at his hair, muttering the same thing over and over again. I asked what he meant, and the guy, Taz, from his name tag, looked me directly in the eye. "I died last month," he hissed out in a whine, and shivers slowly crept their way down my spine when I noticed the ugly, rugged stitches clumsily holding his brain inside his skull. It was a car crash. I was brain dead. And then I was talking to Mom. She died when I was a baby, and I thought I'd made it to her. I caught frustrated tears in his eyes, but my contract doesn't end until 2009, so I think. His expression twisted, and he ran a hand through his hair, pulling off his cap. "I think they're keeping me here until it finishes." Taz groaned. I knew their policy was fucked up, but this is a whole other level. His words were tightening my chest. "You're not making sense," I managed to choke out. "What are you talking about?" "I'm dead," he hissed out, like I was stupid. "I was in a car wreck with my friends last month. I was in the back, and everything went dark. I was planning on quitting this stupid job, but I died before I could." His slightly hysterical eyes found mine. "Can you help me?" Taz whimpered, his eyes lighting up. "It's got to be 2009 at least, right? It feels like at least a year has gone by. They should let me go now." His lips quirked. "I can join Mom, Taz." A voice from the back growled, and the boy stiffened up. "Get back to work. Go fuck yourself." Taz spoke in a breath, more to himself than his boss, Dylan. The man addressed him by his second name this time. "What did I just say?" Taz didn't reply. I caught his hand creeping across the counter, fingers wrapping around a splinter of broken coffee cup. I knew what he was going to do. I could sense it in the way the tendons in his wrists convulsed. He was going to slit his throat right in front of me. I watched him bring the splintered piece up to the flesh of his neck and purposely stabbing it in. Not enough to draw blood, but enough to force himself to continue. The blade kept going, and I found myself paralyzed. With no other customers, it was just me watching this. I waited for him to slice open his neck and finally end it, but the guy wasn't moving. His fingers cinched around the blade. When it sliced through his skin, reddish-black globules pooled down his fingers, sliding in thick rivulets, almost like jelly. "I said," the voice said in a grumble, and Taz's body jolted once again. Blood ran from his nose in a reddish paste, the stitches in his head springing apart, his whole body seeming to fall apart. I could see that his eyes weren't fully lodged into his skull, skin paper thin. This was not blood I was seeing, or it was, but it was ancient. This was supposed to come from a fucking corpse. The blade slipped from his fingers, and he straightened up like his puppet strings were being violently tugged. The boss scoffed, and I saw the last slithers of desperation fade from the boy's eyes, replaced with an almost inhuman-like glitter. "Get back to work, Taz. I don't pay you to stand around talking." Taz looked confused for a moment before he responded in a breath. Yes, what the boss didn't reveal himself. "Yes, sir." Taz spoke with no hesitation. His arms fell to his sides once again, and that light was back in his eyes, a lot brighter, his lips stretching into a Y, vacant smile that only knew how to serve coffee. Already, I could feel myself moving back, knowing I was speaking to nothing but a suit of undead flesh, without a soul, puppeteered by invisible strings. This boy's afterlife was working. I forgot about my coffee. I forgot about what I had been doing, that I had work to finish, and being late for afternoon class, because this guy was suddenly at the center of my world, and I wanted to get him, and everyone else like him, out of there. But how could I do that? Realistically, would you like anything else? Tuss handed me my coffee, and I took it, my hands trembling. He was too. His body was rejecting the light, lips trying to form words, a cry for help being shoved deep down. I stepped back and turned away from him, and I kept walking until I was out of the door, back into the early fall breeze. I don't know what possessed me to turn around. Maybe I was hoping to catch a glimpse of Taz. Instead, my gaze found another employee, this time a smiling brunette. When her eyes caught mine, she inclined her head, the sound of her neck snapping, sending shivers down my spine. "Are you okay there?" She spoke to me directly, and I nodded shakily. When she turned around, I saw the bullet wound in her head, a cavernous hole that looked too fresh, like it was recent. I glimpsed splinters of bone sticking to her hair like cat's teeth. I think she noticed and shot me a smile, fixing her bright green hat over dark red curls. The boss came to the front, finally, a 50-something-year-old guy with a face full of wrinkles and a wide smile. His sweat-stained shirt told me everything I needed to know. "Do you need anything else?" It's like he was challenging me to question the state of his workers. "Expect the best from our favorite employee since 2006. The boss slapped Taz's shoulder, laughing heartily, and the boy didn't move. But I did see his head slightly dislodged from his neck, his body going limp once again. Taz's eyes briefly found me, but he didn't cry out for help, only smiling with his boss, joining in the fake laughing. When another customer came in, he waved cheerily, "Welcome." I left the place after that, but I can't stop thinking about it. If everyone in that place is dead, do they employ the dead, or do their employees coincidentally die? Is there a way to save these people? Because what the fuck did I just witness?